Hi, Dr. Karp here, and welcome to my channel where my goal is for you to become your own authority in health. And today we're going to be talking about how prediabetes is a problem, not a prelude to problems, meaning you are in a disease state when you have prediabetes. These are your risks, and we'll go through them very quickly, but your heart disease risk can be basically broken down into several different things, one of which is, let's move this over here, is coronary artery disease, of course. So with myocardial atrophy, studies have shown that MRI scans showed a stepwise decrease in right ventricular heart volume, which basically means the muscles in the right ventricle are decreasing, are shriveling up as blood sugar goes up. So this study points towards early subclinical, meaning nothing overt, nothing terrible happening at the moment, but they're actually starting to see those changes in right ventricular volume in men with diabetes and prediabetes. Atrial fibrillation, where the atrium of the heart is not really contracting, and it's because it's not a forceful contraction forcing the blood into the ventricles. The blood sort of pools there, it can clot and causes 15 to 25% of strokes. And in this article, it says this meta-analysis, sort of look at a bunch of studies, suggests that prediabetes increases the risk of atrial fibrillation by 20%. 28% for diabetes. Respectively, there is a dose-response relationship, meaning as the blood sugar increases, you're getting an increase of atrial fibrillation. Cardiac fitness, this one's interesting, that you are basically have decreased cardiac fitness with, you have better fitness with better hemoglobin A1C, which we'll talk about in just a moment. This was a statistically significant relationship was observed between hemoglobin A1C and cardiovascular fitness. However, BMI and HOMA, which is a measure of insulin sensitivity, did not influence the relationship, meaning that, not everyone with insulin problems or prediabetes who is obese, in other words, people who are obese don't necessarily have blood sugar issues. And this cardiac fitness issue was correlated not with, it was independent of the obesity. Now, kidney disease, which we usually associate with diabetes, but also is associated with prediabetes. More than a third of people with prediabetes were found to have albuminuria, which is protein in the urine, and a reduced glomerular filtration rate, GFR. That's bad. You don't want that to happen, obviously. Cancer, with this study by Wang in 2014, showed prediabetes associated with increased risk of cancer, especially liver, endometrial, and stomach and colorectal cancer. And this study, which actually included something like close to a review of a million patients with varying definitions of what prediabetes is, of say, a certain hemoglobin A1C, they saw increased liver, endometrial, and colorectal cancer. And it wasn't just these cancers that showed some statistically increased risk. There were others as well, and some types of cancers that didn't show it. Neuropathy, elevated blood glucose, basically causes damage to small blood vessels that supply small nerve fibers, and subclinical damage for hemoglobin A1C of 5.5 to 6. Sometimes some labs say 5.5 or 5.7 is normal, and anything above is a problem. Under 5.5 showed no damage, so that could be an indicator of at least in terms of neuropathy, where you want to keep it down. And the article authors said these findings underscore the importance of early treatment at the prediabetes and early diabetes stages to prevent nerve fiber decline that is likely irreversible. So you don't want to wait till you get diabetes. You can reverse this. This is reversible, and it's reversible through lifestyle interventions. We'll get into all that in just a moment. Next, markers to discuss. So let's close this right here. We basically have, obviously, glucose, which is blood sugar, insulin, and hemoglobin A1C. Hemoglobin A1C is basically sugar bound to hemoglobin, and it's measured as a percent. So as we mentioned, 5.5, and anything under 5.5 was not associated with neuropathy. And it basically is a measure of your blood sugar over the last 3 months, 2 to 3 months, because your red blood cell lasts that long. So when you get sugar bound to the hemoglobin, it's going to last for a certain period of time in your blood before it gets taken out. So when you understand the percent of sugar bound to your hemoglobin, then you have a general understanding of where your blood sugar is. But this is also an indicator of what's called glycation, which is basically where how many tissues in your body are glycated. Now, what happens when your cells get glycated? In your skin, you get wrinkles. In your eyes, you get retinopathy, like diabetic retinopathy. In your tendons, they get stiff. This is what causes you to age. So everyone should be aware of what their hemoglobin A1C is. If you're not on my weekly Wednesday Night Live lectures, we did one on what are the 7 markers that you want to check. And 2 of them, of course, were insulin and hemoglobin A1C. Glucose, obviously, you need to know what that is, but these 2 certainly. Now let's talk about insulin so you have a clear understanding of that and why it's important to actually discuss insulin. What happens with age? Well, basically you get decreased insulin sensitivity, meaning your body needs to release more insulin because the cells are not as sensitive to it. So in order to get the same benefit, the same blood sugar lowering effect, your pancreas releases more insulin than it did before. Increased insulin released is basically done to balance your blood glucose. But unfortunately, insulin is a growth factor. It can grow fat. And when people grow more fat, they become more sedentary and a vicious cycle takes place. And I say leading eventually to disease and death. I know that sounds sort of morbid and serious, but this is something that happens over many, many, many years. And if you have a clear understanding of it, maybe it gives you the inspiration to make the changes in your life that you need to make. At least that's what my hope is. Okay, so let's go back here and let's talk about reducing the risk. So reducing the risk, let's blow the screen up just a little bit here. Well, vitamin D can reduce your risk by up to 80% actually. At least patients with high levels of vitamin D tend to have a reduced risk. Exercise, of course, fasting. I recommend something called biological fasting. Totally biased here because I created a plan called the Pareto Plan, which is found over at miraclenoodle.com, which is biological fasting is a way of fasting where you can actually eat food. You get the benefits of fasting, all the benefits, which include this AMP activation and decreased insulin levels, like we spoke about before, all based on the research by Dr. Walter Longo at the USC Center for Gerontology, which is a study of aging. And basically, again, totally biased because I created this plan, but it comes with 5 days of food, and you do this once a month for 3 months and then every 3 to 4 months thereafter, and that can really reduce your AMP. It activates AMPK, it lowers insulin levels, and all the effects, the beneficial effects of fasting that we're reading about. Now, how do you activate AMPK? Well, metformin is one way, and green tea or green tea extracts. I caution people to do just green tea. Green tea extracts in the past have shown some negative effects. Bilberry also carries some risk, but do your own research. Gynostema tea, which is, I like one called longevity tea, it's called, and it's made by dragon herbs. And hesperidin, which is found in citrus peels. Now, I have a juice habit, I guess you could say, vegetable juice habit, but I also put in 1 whole lemon into my vegetable juice. So you're going to get hesperidin. You do not want to juice orange rind, but lemon rind is okay. There's something bad about some chemical in orange rinds that is not good for you. So this, my friends, is prediabetes. And prediabetes, again, I can't stress enough, is a problem. And if you have prediabetes, then it's time for you to take care of it. Get rid of it. You can get rid of it. My channel is basically, the tagline is become your own authority. Well, now you know certain things to reduce the risk, but you also have the motivation and knowledge now to be able to realize how important it is to get this under control. If you're interested in getting in control and you're not sure where to go to next, I am available to talk to. I leave around 1 hour to 2 hours actually per day to talk to people for free for 10 minutes by the link below. So feel free to reach out to me. I can help you with that. I can tell you in my life, and I've mentioned this many times before, that it was a conversation with a mentor, an authority figure, someone I respected, or a chance encounter talking to somebody on a plane, honestly, that really gave me an aha moment, where something sort of just fit into place. So sometimes conversation with someone, making a connection, is really that one thing that can make a huge difference in your life. And I suggest, if you have prediabetes and you're not sure where to go, talk to me for 10 minutes. I'm not going to sell you anything or anything like that. This is to make human connection and to help people out there, which is something that is the goal of this channel. So hope you enjoyed this lecture. What can I say? Take care, and take care of yourself, and realize that your body is an amazing, amazing thing. It's incredible. It's not a machine. It's this miraculous instrument that's capable of regeneration, rejuvenation, and reversing of almost everything is possible to completely reverse. But if you can get this particular thing before you become diabetic and before you're relying on medications and such, you've done yourself such an incredible benefit that is going to basically make you feel better, make you feel alive, and statistically increase your longevity. So this is Dr. Karp. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of any new videos, and thank you so much for your attention.